How's it, internet? Ozarc here, and today we're going to be checking out Call of Duty Modern Warfare / Warzone's field of view options, which range anywhere from 60 to 120 degrees. Underneath this is an advanced tab, which gives you two more options called affected and independent. Now, independent changes or warps things a little bit in terms of gameplay, taking away from reality, allowing the enemy in the middle of the screen to come a bit closer towards you, while affected keeps things real to life as you would see it through a photography lens. So let's dig in and see how this works. Alright guys, so let's put all this into practice and compare a 60, 80, 100 and 120 field of view. I'm going to be using Hunting Party, which is one of the campaign missions. Alright, so right off the bat you can actually see that nothing is different between the field of views at the moment, and that's because this camera actually isn't influenced by them. It's just the way Infinity Ward designed this when they did this fly through, but you'll see the swap happen now. It actually transitions to another camera. You wouldn't actually notice it if you didn't compare field of views. There it is there. So now you can see how much bigger the field of view is from the 120 compared to the 60. The 60 is right up there on the truck, whereas the 120 you can see the bike on the side, the building on the left, and even a lot of the buildings on the right. And obviously 80 a little bit closer and 100 in between that. So there you see the truck, actually how stretched it is in the 120 field of view, but at the same time you can see the buildings on the left, you can see the windows on the right, and that bridge in the middle is so far away from you because that's how a rounded lens would actually work, and whereas on the 60 view you can see the actions much closer up in the center view. Now this actually obviously influences how you shoot, because the enemies in the middle of your screen are going to be much further away. So we're going to take a look at that next. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, there are two settings that come with field of view, and that's affected and independent. We're going to take a look at affected first, which is the real to life one, and this is also influenced on which scope you use. So we're going to do the iron sight first, not to be confused with beyond iron sight, and then we're going to take a look at independent. As we can see on screen, the 60 is on the top left and the 120 is on the bottom right. And as you can see in the 120, the player is tiny on screen compared to the 60 degree view. It's going to be very difficult for you to get headshots with a 120 degree view using an iron sight gun like a handgun. Now let's take a look at independent and see if that helps us out a bit. Here we can immediately see how much bigger the enemy is on screen in the 120 degree view as the middle of the view is getting pulled right towards the gun. It's definitely not as big as the 60 degree view on the top left, but it's certainly much better compared to affected. Now let's quickly compare independent and affected next to each other using the 60 and 100 degree field of views. Here again, we can easily see how much of a difference independent makes compared to affected when comparing 60 and 100 degree field of views. Now let's just do the same comparison using 80 degrees and 120 degree field of views. So even when compared to 80 degrees, 120 degrees does give a very jarring effect every time you look down your iron sight, and this can actually make you a bit nauseous in game, even though the benefits are that your peripheral vision is quite extended, allowing you to see more enemies on the left and right. Your center of the screen is the most important, and it does get quite affected when using 120 degrees. Alright guys, so now let's take a look at an optical scope that is actually more than 3.25x zoom, and the game actually tells you that anything beyond this amount of zoom actually isn't going to be affected, whether you are using affected or independent. It's going to be exactly the same. So let's just put that to the test. Here we can see that when using a scope that's more than 3.25x zoom, the center of the screen has no effect, whether you're using the independent or affected settings, and it all remains the same, although your field of views are still very different. So if you are a sniper and you want to have a bit more peripheral while shooting, you can definitely use a wider field of view, and it should actually help you out. And as with affected, independent is exactly the same when using a scope with more than 3.25 zoom. We already know how these results are going to turn out, but just for interest's sake, let's compare the 60 and 100 degree field of views. And lastly, the 80 degree and 120 degree field of views. Also did 4 benchmarks using all 4 fields of view, and I'm happy to report that they all offer exactly the same frames per second, so don't worry about which field of view you choose. Just choose the one that's the best for your gameplay. You don't have to worry about any performance implications. Then guys, lastly, I'm going to leave you with some multiplayer action where I played some games with various weapons using degrees from 80 to 100 and 120 so that you can see how this influences your gameplay. Hope you enjoy. I'm not the best, so don't laugh at my my gameplay, but it's all about fun, right? And hopefully get the point across.
We've lost Alpha. Bravo. Enemy at the barrel. Taking C. Capturing.
Hostile.
Enemy UAV overhead. Enemy holds 2 objectives. Securing C.
Got your 6.
We've got Charlie. Hostiles at Alpha, go. Losing Alpha. Hostiles at Alpha, go. The enemy holds 2 objectives. Keep hitting them. Enemy precision airstrike inbound. Take cover. You are needed at C. Taking B. Taking A. Enemy holds all of them. Unacceptable. We control the good impact. Enemy to Stonebridge. Enemy UAV overhead. We're taking Charlie. The enemy holds 2 objectives. Keep hitting them. We control Charlie. Losing A. We're holding 2. We have their lost A.
And just like that guys, we've come to the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, hit that like button, and if you didn't, smash it twice to tell me how angry you are. Don't forget to pop the subscribe button as well as ring the bell icon to get notified of any future videos. Oh, and check this little video out. You can also subscribe over here. And this video is pretty cool too.